In this video, we will show you how to replace your air suspension valve block on this Jeep Grand Cherokee. This will be located behind the passenger side front bumper cover. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing I want to mention is you will have to have a scan tool to be able to deflate your air suspension system and then be able to reinflate it in the end. Not only that, but you will have to go to a trained professional to have the nitrogen tank measured and refilled if needed after this process. One of the first things we have to do is have the vehicle running, and we need to have the suspension in the park setting. Start lowering this down. Bring this all the way down. Now once your suspension is in the park setting, we can go ahead and turn off the vehicle, but we are going to have it in the run position. Now it's time to have a look at our scanner. Now every scan tool is going to be a little bit different, but what you need to do is get into your special tests. We're looking for the spring deflate to atmosphere button here. Let's go ahead and press on that. It wants us to confirm whether or not we want to do this, and we do, so we're going to continue. Continuing from here, we're going to deflate the system. Next, we'll select the complete deflate here. And you can see it says spring deflate to atmosphere. You can hear the system deflating as it should. We'll just wait until it's all done the noise. All right, sounds like it's done. We'll turn off key power. Now the next thing we're going to have to do is safely raise and support all four corners of the vehicle with the suspension hanging. Continuing on, we can remove the wheel by removing all 5 of our 22mm lug nuts. With the wheel out of the way, we're going to start gaining focus on the inside fender liner. We have to dislodge the front portion of this and tuck it in and behind the brakes. To do that, starting down along the bottom, you should find that you have a 10mm headed bolt holding the fender liner to your skid plate. Ours is actually broken, but this is what the bolt should look like right here with a 10mm head. Continuing on from there, we're going to have some push clips and also a twist clip here. The twist clip, go ahead and take hold of it. We'll turn it counterclockwise a quarter turn and remove it. There's that. Continue making our way up. We have some push clips. Push clips come in all different shapes and sizes. For some of them, you pull out the center. Others, you need to drive the center in. On these ones in particular, on my application, you press in the center to unlock it, and then you can remove the outer portion as well. Once you have it dislodged, you just want to go ahead and reset it. Continue on. Up in the corner area here, you're going to find a 10mm headed mounting bolt. We'll remove that. After that, we have several more push clips. For these ones, I'm removing the center, or at least pulling them out to unlock it. There we are. Center out of there. If they do come apart, you can typically just slide them right back together. It's fairly easy. Leave it in the unlocked position, of course. To help flex the inner fender liner, I'm going to remove the access port cover here, and now we can take hold of the fender liner. We're going to start flexing this out of the way. Just tuck it right up behind here. With the fender liner out of the way, we have a clear view of where our valve block's going to be located. Now this has several hoses and lines leading to it, and we're going to have to disconnect each one of these. Before you do, you need to make sure that you've completed the evacuation of the pressure inside your air suspension system. Continuing on from here, if you were to look at this plate, you're going to find that it is color-coded. I can see brown down along the bottom on the left-hand side. Continuing forward, we have yellow, then white, moving up, blue, green, and then it looks as though there's a turquoise. Pay close attention to each one of the lines. They should be well marked. If they're not marked, go ahead and mark them with something such as tape and a marker. They need to go back in the exact same position on the new valve block. To remove the lines, I'm going to be using a 12mm, and we'll remove the entire fitting from the valve block. For this, you can start with any of the lines you want, really. The process is the same. As you continue removing each of these, you want to give them a close inspection. If it looks like they're damaged or rotted in any way, you can go ahead and replace them. There is also an O-ring seal on each one of these. It's a good idea to make sure it's still soft and pliable, and once again, if it looks like it's damaged, just go ahead and replace it. We'll set this aside, continue on down the line. Same process. If you do find that there's any pressure still left in the system, just let it slowly evacuate. Continuing on, get 2 more lines here. Now we have all the lines out of here. Before we start removing it, we do still have an electrical connector which is along the forward aspect here. The locking tab is also along the forward area. You want to make your way underneath the locking tab carefully without causing any damage. We'll pull this out of place. Once it's out of place, a quick inspection for corrosion. For these types of connectors, it's helpful if you take the connector, press it inward, depress the locking tab, and then slide it out of place. There we are. Just a quick inspection of that, as I mentioned. Continuing from here, we have 2 T27 Torx screws holding this in place to the bracket. The bracket is what we can see right here out in the open. The unit itself is located just behind it. At this point, we'll carefully reach up in behind this area and we can remove the valve block. There it is, friend. Let's get this valve block in place. When we install it, we need to align our mounting point. We have the 2 T27 Torx screws that will go into the valve block through the plate. Now we can install the valve block. Before we get this in the vehicle, let's go ahead and take those T27 mounting screws, and you want to try starting them into the port. We need to cut the threads going into the plastic, so essentially we're just starting them in. Now that I've got some threads in that port, we'll do the exact same thing for the other one. You can see those threads, that looks good. There we are. Now we can mount this into its bracket. With it in place, we'll start in each of the 2 mounting bolts. After they're both started in, you can snug them up. When tightening these, keep in mind, you're only screwing into plastic, and we don't want to cause any damage. Just confirm they're both snug. We'll just confirm that's nice and tight, secured to the bracket as it should be. Now we can reconnect our electrical connector. Just going to take this, line it up, press it in. We'll press it in, listen for a click, give it a tug, make sure it's properly secured in place. Confirm there's no debris inside the valve block. Continue on with the installation of each of your lines. To install the lines, we're going to start the fitting in by hand. Go ahead and snug it up. The torque for each of these is 31 inch-pounds, which is not very much. We essentially just want to bottom it out and make sure it's snug without stripping anything. Once you start these in, Take a quick peek and ensure that you're properly going in straight and not off kilter. Otherwise, you're going to strip out the valve block. We're getting close here. So right there feels as though it's where it bottomed out. As I mentioned, I'm only going to take it a tiny bit further. Take hold of the line. Attempt to give it a wiggle, removing it from the valve block. If it slides out, it's not completely locked in. You want to go ahead and remove this. Readjust so your line's properly located, reinstall, and recheck. Once you're sure it's properly secured, continue on with your installation for all other lines. Okay, right there is bottomed out. Let's get this next one in here. We're going yellow to yellow. Bottomed out. Okay, right there is bottomed out. And continue on to the top line. Just get that in position. This one's going to be harder to start in by hand. You want to be extremely careful not to cross-thread it, of course. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just make sure it's snug. One last quick inspection in this area, and we can reinstall our fender liner. When we bring this in position, we're going to carefully start bringing it in and behind the bumper cover here. We need to align our mounting holes. You can see 1 and 2 right there. We'll start in those push clips. For the push clips, you want to drive in the outer portion first and then lock it in with the center. Press that right in there. Sometimes you have to reach from the back side, hold on to it there, lock that in. There we are. Now we have our larger push clips. Those are the inboard push clips. Let's get this aligned. Make our way up here. We have our 10mm headed mounting bolts. Time for the plastic panel. You have your locating tabs. We want to make sure those align. We'll turn this a quarter turn, lock it in. Continuing down, we're going to resecure the bumper cover down along the bottom area here. We have our plastic push clip. We'll just go ahead and press this in. A quarter turn, double check, make sure that's secure. Continuing from there, you should have a 10mm headed bolt that looks approximately like this. It's going to go straight on through here into the skid plate. Continuing on from here, it's time to reinstall our wheel. With that in place, we'll start on all 5 of our 22mm lug nuts. We'll bottom them out. Get the wheels safely back down on the ground and torque those to 130 foot-pounds. We've got the wheel back on the ground. Let's torque these in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Now at this point, you want to get your vehicle safely down to a trained professional. What they're going to have to do is complete the refill procedure and then top off the nitrogen tank, which is located behind your rear driver's seat. After that, you can go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.